Welcome to Friday's video in our second Master Series. This is the 44th video, I do believe, in our second Master Series. And I do believe the fifth video dealing with phase meters, correlation meters, and stereo field meters. So, basically, I hope I made it clear in the last video. I wanted to point out a couple things when you're looking for phase issues and the simple concept that you need to be looking for. The problem there is sometimes that it's okay and sometimes it's not, and you have to make a decision on that. If it gets really phasey sounding and you can really hear it, it's obviously an issue. But to various degrees cannot be an issue on an entire production in certain areas or on certain tracks or on certain stereo tracks or da 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 da. So it's really a personal preference, and it's really hard to point out when it's an issue, when it isn't, because one person might say it is, one person say it isn't, and it just takes. It's a work in progress. Without, you're going to try to be static and never have a phase issue anywhere, everywhere, never. Then you're probably not going to be doing a lot of stereo field work. But if you are going to become that next level master audio engineer, you will be. So you're going to run into various degrees of it and coming to some level of acceptance to work with your stereo field, which is a problem, but truth. So now we are also going to get into, this can be a stereo track, or we could be mixing other tracks together, mono tracks, or doesn't matter, even a mix or something. But we're looking at from the point of view from a stereo track. Now, the first thing I want to point out is on this stereo track, this is a vocal, but it was recorded with two different microphones. Now, they might have done some work on this, but you can tell really obvious that this has been recorded with two different microphones. You can see huge differences all the way across the timeline of levels, sharpness. You can see like the difference between this one here and the difference in this one here isn't just volume problems. It's frequency response issues, electrical problems, saturations, distortions, noise, things like that are inherent in the piece of hardware and whatever they might have been running it through, as opposed to the other side that caused a different looking waveform that's not just volume related, right? Those are two pieces of different hardware with different characteristics. So, and that just goes all the way across here, and it can be real obvious in some places, in some places not quite as obvious. Now, the concept here, a really huge concept to get in your head, is trying to figure out when this is a problem and when it isn't. Now, if I pull out my stereo field meter and just take this front area here, what do we have? We're looking at the stereo field here, and it's going off to the right a little bit there for a second, and it's starting to flatline out there a little bit, but whether or not that's a problem or not is debatable and a point of view. So you're looking for things that are going to not be what you want or what you're used to hearing the way you want things done, because I'm telling you, a little bit one way or the other, master engineers will look at it differently. Then one engineer will go, no, that sounds cool, I like that, it's a little bit spread out there, but that's okay, I like that, bam. Another engineer will be, nope, dude, there's a little bit of phase there not happening, and really, and it depends on what kind of production. Some productions are hyper clean and you don't want anything going on, and some are a little looser, so it's more organic or something, and that's kind of a little of that stuff's going to be happening. It has a different texture, and it's going to have a different texture, and sometimes just on certain tracks where not on others in different types of productions. So it can be really complicated. Now, if I go in here and I've got this thing here that's I can split channels. If you look here on the left there, I got nothing. On the right, I've got a Pro EQ and a mix tap from Isotope, and on there you watch this stereo field. This is on a stereo track that was recorded, and I go ahead and I say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of high pass and low pass filtering on one side of it, because of the microphone on one side or the other sounds different. I'm cleaning it up. It changes it. If you look really closely, you automatically see in this stereo, you turn it into a lot more of the little dots everywhere that's trying to head towards that full stereo field sound, because I cleaned up one side that was having issues that was causing problems with that. And if I go over here also and I decide that I'm going to put delay on one side or the other, and let's say I'm going to put delay on that side up to, let's say I'll go 36.6 milliseconds. That's pretty high. Does that make sense? It's widening it. You can see it start to head towards flatlining, but it's widening it immensely. Let's go 18.3. Now on this is a stereo track. And you can see that it's widening it. It's widening it out, and depending on how much, and let's go 24.4. 24.4, and you can see how wide it got in certain areas. In some areas, you're seeing it doing that little figure eight looking that racetrack thing, and then it was shooting off to the right just a little, but the rest of it looks really nice. So I'm going to go back here and turn this off and set this out of the way. Now, the concept here, this is what it looks like dry, and the difference of it, you're getting a lot more issues. Okay, so let's stop this for a minute and let's evaluate this. The huge concept here is a couple different concepts. First of all is that we understand basically what the meter is trying to show us, right? Basic concepts. So with that in mind, we have to make decisions on whether or not things are acceptable or not and when we're seeing issues. So if it starts going mono, that might be an issue. If it starts going left, that might be an issue. If it starts going right, that might be an issue. If it starts getting some kind of phase issue for no reason at all, sometimes, in my opinion, I've ran into stuff that seemed like it come out in the Twilight Zone. I'd be like, why am I having a phase issue there all of a sudden? I do not understand why that is. What happened? And I'm trying to track it down and never getting an answer. I've got some file somebody sent me, and I have no idea why the heck all of a sudden it had a phase issue. And I'm not exactly a dummy, and I'm like going, well, what happened? What did you do, bro? Because it's like all of a sudden it's got a phase issue right there, and it's like it's obvious, and I don't know why. Something's happening there when they were recording, or when the file got rendered, or they tried to do something to it, or who knows, and it's a problem. So we start looking for these footprints. First of all, we're trying to find this nice stereo field. We know as things happen from watching the last video that when we apply things or things are done, that it changes things. And we also know that that can be inherent in a stereo capture. You got two different microphones that got different frequency responses, different electronic components. They're going to add saturation, noise, distortion, all kinds of things that are going to make it different. They're going to have an effect on the stereo field. And then we need to make a decision if we're going to deal with one side or the other because of issues that's happening. And this work in progress and seeing that this is a problem, because now we have our phase meter out and we know these issues exist. We know these things change the stereo field and can also affect the phase of what's going on, which sometimes we don't think it does. That's why we want to keep it out in case we're doing some kind of processing or editing or anything we're doing, no matter what we're doing. That way we can go, well, I did something. All of a sudden, what? Wait a minute. What the heck happened there? Why did that do that? Well, it did. I don't know why. Something in the algorithm, something in the hardware, the electronics, something in the software algorithm and the coding caused some kind of effect that you weren't expecting to happen. That has happened to me a lot. Plus, we're dealing with music that's really complicated. So this complicated issue is that as we understand that, and we're dealing with this stereo track, but this could be any number of tracks in a mix that are recorded with different microphones that from different distances and on and on and on, that may mix together, cause phase issues, because there's been different microphones involved, different distances, delays, equalizations, frequency response, room reverberations, tunings, processing. We've talked a little bit about that. All kinds of things could affect it. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, like we looked at in the last video, that it affect our phase and our stereo field for some dang reason, right? So it's a problem. So understanding this first of all, is half the battle. Because once you understand it is happening and can happen, then you can look out for it, because now you got your phase meter open up in the window all the time and using it instead of having it tucked away in there and trying to use your ears. You're using your ear balls, but not your eyeballs, because now you know this stuff's happening, and now you can go look for it when it's a problem, and start to visualize certain footprints and things that are happening, and then start to become to a point to where you formulate a quote-unquote informed opinion on the way to becoming this master audio engineer of whether or not that's acceptable for you, or it's cool or bad or what. Does that make sense? Not to try to give you an opinion, but to give you the tools to help you form an opinion, right? So that's, mostly trying to get you to that next level audio engineer. That's half the battle. So basically, it's a simple concept. So now that we understand these simple things, then we can start looking for footprints of what we consider bad. That makes sense, because as you go along, you go along here, and all of a sudden I seen it just shoot right there, and I'm putting up a flag for some dang reason. Now let's go look at that. Now, how in God's green earth could that of all of a sudden right there be a phase issue? How is that a phase issue? You're looking at this right here. These cappers are two different microphones. Now, what's happening, because the algorithm, no matter whether they're not in time or not, or the two tracks that you have are in time or not, they're probably not lining up in any way, shape, or form, right? I mean, they just probably not. So the issue here, there's a phase problem here. It's shooting off to the right. What's happening? Why did it shoot off to the right? Ba-da, bing, bong, right there. You see the levels going up here while the level's dropping there, so it's just shooting off to the right. That may not be a problem for one bang millisecond in time. And guess what? You come in here trying to fix this and screw with this waveform until it's going up at the same time as this one, bangity bang. You might be causing yourself a problem, and you would spend the whole rest of your life trying to fix this one waveform because it went right just for a second because of that one problem. Now, we have come to a whole new level, and you are becoming a next level master audio engineer by understanding that concept. That while you're watching this go along, that now you know when some of those things happen, it's okay. When it's an audible problem or it lasts too long, like if this was happening, it starts shooting off there to the side for, over a long period of time, let's say from here to here or something, or longer, then you might want to investigate. Sometimes maybe not. Now, this can be real questionable, but it's a huge point to get across, especially when you're dealing with stereo field and phase issues and things like that, correlation issues, that the stuff's kind of moving around. You are trying to find problems. So when you see that kind of stuff happen, it's not always a huge issue. So, but don't put your dang meter away just because I told you that. That doesn't mean put your meter away and it's like, well, it's dancing around. I know it just does that and dances around. I don't need to turn it off. No, wrong answer. Well, you want to keep it open because sometimes that's going to happen for 1 second. Ping, it's gone. Sometimes it's going to happen for 3 seconds and it's a problem, bro. It just is. You're going to go half in there and go edit that file. Go all the way back to editing to fix some problem because now it doesn't sound right. It's a problem. It went off, and it's every moment in time is important. And as you focus on every moment in time and trusting your meters, not just your ears, that you're going to make things better. Because when I was learning, I learned that sometimes I'll let shit fly. I'll let shit fly. I'll let stuff fly. I'll let stuff fly. As I started flagging stuff all over the place, I realized that I could fix a lot of problems. And all of a sudden, I started fixing stuff to where it sounded great. And it was like sometimes it was overkill, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes I'd catch something like, I'd have never caught that if I didn't have my phase meter out. And that is definitely a problem. What is going on there? It's flatline. I mean, I'm getting a phase issue going on, or it's shooting left for too long, or it's trying to go mono on me, or it's shooting right, or it's shooting off to the left a little bit. And in the mix, it's fine, but all of a sudden, right when the vocalist goes, and then I want to have fleas, right when he says fleas, all of a sudden the dang thing's going off to the left for some dang reason, and it's causing my whole mix a problem because just for a second, my stereo field is screwed up, just for a second, but it's having a huge impact on my mix. That's the hook of my song, bro, and all of a sudden it's doing some little thing just for a second or two that's making it not sound top notch to where I'm dealing with stuff like I'm at master level audio engineer. So this is a huge concept to get in your head, to get that drilled in your head so that you can become that next level master audio engineer and understand these concepts. So with that in mind, that we're going to stop here on this video and head off to the next one. So peace, hope, love. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.